I received a present. Today is my birthday. Let's open it. But maybe it's a gift for you? What's inside the box? Oh my God. Oh my God. Today is the start of Christmas painting challenge. Yoo-hoo! And day one, Rudolf the red-nosed reindeer. Day one is a tutorial of reindeer antlers, red bow, and Rudolf red nose. I think this is a very symbolic piece for Christmas. Let's go. On the first day of our challenge, I'm starting completely new, opening up completely new paper pad. Has a protection sheet on top, which needs to be removed. And now taking first paper sheet for my day one card. If you just simply fold your paper, then you will get cracks like this, which doesn't seem like a nice card to give away, right? Instead, I am making paper prepared to fold neatly. I will be linking video for slightly more detailed process of how to fold watercolor paper that it looks neat and accurate and have a professional finish. But what I do is have two painting boards underneath with a little gap in both of these boards, about 2 millimeters of gap, and then with paper knife I'm doing these back and forth slight pressure marks, and now the paper can be neatly folded. Paper grains are stretched and the finish of the fold is very accurate. Here I'm showing you from a different angle how I do these movements back and forth, and don't press too hard, then paper can be quite easily broken. And after this, paper will actually be neatly folded and professional. All cards for 12 days of Christmas painting challenge are prepared, and we can start painting day one. Our first day card is an interesting reindeer entrance with bow, and this will be like a Rudolph red nose in the middle. And a little bit of evergreen branches I will add at the end. Outline is transferred, and with an elastic eraser, which looks like this, I'm rolling over to remove excess amount of graphite. We don't need dark outlines. We don't need messy graphite dust on our paper, because then it can easily mess with our painting. Don't rub too hard, don't do any harsh movements. Everything should be done lightly and with care. Next, mixing watercolors. Reindeer antlers are brown color, and to mix brown, we need primaries. I will take transparent yellow. Don't mix huge amount of watercolors, we don't need a lot. Alizarin crimson, which is second primary color, red, and ultramarine blue, which is third primary color. And now as I mix them all together, I need to adjust. Antlers are more browner, so I'm adding blue and I'm adding red. A little bit more of blue and a little bit more of red. Each addition of new touch of pigment that I add in small portions, so I can follow along how the color changes. If I will add huge amounts, then I will not notice where the change happened, and that can be quite frustrating. Now here we have front antlers and a little bit visible like in the back. Those, for the depth, I will be painting very lightly. So I will start with my round synthetic brush, a light amount of watercolors, removing excess amount on my paper towel. And without watering, I'm going straight away and applying a light amount of watercolors to the antlers that are in the back. With one layer, and that's it. Be careful with outer edges so you don't go over them. If there are some crisp lines, you go with clean and dry brush and smooth those parts. This first layer should be light and even. Then on the other side, same light amount of watercolors, removing excess and applying lightly, carefully on a dry surface. Basically coloring in. Now this one looks darker, so I will add another layer so they both look in the same color value. And that's it. Those are antlers in the back. We can add a little bit darker at the base. That's where they come closer to the main part and can have a little bit of shadow there. But that can be added a little bit later as well. Now the antlers that are in the front, they will have a little bit more of tonal values and some shadows. Those in the back, that's it. Now for the ones that are in the front, I will add water first. Small amount, no puddles. Lifting paper and you can see there are no puddles, just even glaze of moisture. Taking watercolors. And now I will add in some areas that I will have darker, closer to the bow. Painting with round synthetic brush. Here. Leaving some lighter areas to have tonal values. Washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel, and smoothing what I just applied. So there are smooth transitions from darker to lighter areas. Still, this is quite light because we will add next layer with a little bit more texture and depth. Applying water here because I didn't apply it there. Taking watercolors, applying carefully, paying attention especially to outer edges, and with clean and dry brush, smoothing and pushing watercolors to the other parts. And that's it for the first layer of front side antlers. Now on the other side, same approach. Not too much water. If watercolors start to float on their own, means too much water. Water needs to be just enough so you are freely moving watercolors. No puddles. No puddles. I can easily lift my paper. Taking watercolors again, darker part will be closer to the bow. Then shadow here. Then here, where the curve is. Now washing my brush, cleaning a paper towel, and smoothing applied layer. No worries, even if you will have some crisp edges, lines, because, well, antlers are wooden texture, and wooden texture has interesting surface, which we will add a little bit later. But just to let you know, if you have something crisp, don't worry. Loading watercolors. Here more darker. Washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel, and smoothing towards other parts so everything is covered. Careful with outer edges. And also here, this first layer for the front parts is done. Now I'm taking finer tip brush, loading with the mix that we pre-mixed. I will add finer brush strokes of more like lines, because woody texture of antlers have something similar to, I will zoom in closer so you can see how my lines look. So painting with the very tip of my brush. There are some places where antlers have shadow. Trying to recreate texture of what we can see, find on internet, and get inspiration and reference from there. These lines can be a little bit wavy, showing the growth. Remember that those that are in the back, we are not detailing. We applied first layer and that's it. Everything that is closer to the viewer is more detailed. Everything that is further can be more paler and not so detailed and crisp. We are creating these ones. Painting lightly, so you can adjust intensity as you go. Carefully. Keeping lighter areas lighter, so we have tonal values, but we also building texture of wood. as the light source is coming from left side. Right side is more darker. So now it starts to look as antlers of reindeer with all the texture and volume. Remember, we are not detailing the ones that are in back. They, with staying lighter and paler and not detailed, they will create the illusion of depth. Now moving to the second one, so we have consistently painted for both sides, and then when we'll have the second side painted, we can push a little bit more on contrast. But we need to have more carefully. Closer to the bow, we have shadow. Using brown watercolor mix that I pre-mixed. Painting lightly. And same, recreating this woody texture here as well. Now here I have very visibly that this is much lighter and this is slightly darker. I want to build here, keep this tonal value, and I will add a little bit shadow here. Just a little bit, and keeping this part lighter, but not adding woody texture on the one that is in the back. Slowly, no need to rush. This is a really enjoyable subject, enjoyable way of painting. You are not too stressed about result. This is not super detailed painting. You can be very loose as you wish. This is for enjoyment, definitely. To explore new possibilities of subjects. Now I have consistent both sides, and I love this. Very interesting, something very different and very interesting. I love it. I want to have a little bit more shadow in these corners. That seems like where shadow could be more. Okay, now I would like to add red details because that will make the composition slightly different. And for the red details, I'm taking alizarin crimson, a little bit more. I will add transparent yellow. I want to have my red really rich and warm. And to build it slightly darker, I'm taking pearl and violet, careful on the side. I have beautiful red color. We'll start with the Rudolf the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Adding water. Remember, no puddles, just enough so the surface is moist. No puddles. Taking my red color and with a little stippling method, applying it on the more on the right side, a little bit off the edge. Washing and cleaning my brush and paper towel. And now pushing watercolors to the whole area, leaving upper part slightly lighter. We will need a shiny spot. If you, by any means, painted everything, covered everything, wash your brush, clean it in paper towel, and wipe. It's easily done. You see, I want to have a shiny nose. Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer. Because his nose was shining bright and we need that. Taking finer tip brush and adding a little bit more. With the careful little brush strokes. So in this little piece we have tonal values of lights and darks and shiny spot of Red-Nosed Reindeer's nose that shines bright in the night for Santa, so he can deliver presents to our lovely children. Okay, this is first layer done beautifully. I already like this painting. Now for the bow. Bow will be in the same color as nose. Starting with water. Applying it on the right side of the bow. Taking my watercolors. Here we will need a lifting method, definitely. We have shadow. Shadow here as well. Careful with the outer edges. Now washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel. And pushing watercolors to the edges. Now we need these Christmas boughs have a lot of shiny spots, so we need to keep shiny spots white. I like how this white appears. If you don't have, wash your brush, clean it in paper towel, and lift. Now I would like to lift here because there's a little fold that will have, then I'm leaving edges. Here I need to wipe. Now other side. We'll have slightly different light and shadow. because light source is coming from one side, but subjects have different angles, meaning different spots of light and shadow. So here darker part is more in the middle and in the beginning. Here we will have light. Then we have shadow here where the inner part is visible. And definitely here. Need to be really careful how you work because cards are quite small in size. If I would be painting this as a painting, it would be bigger, and then it would be easier to work with the bigger size. But now card is quite small, so we are painting small. Smoothing applied layers and pushing watercolors to the outer edges. And smooth to the outer edges. We can't leave it completely white. Like this. Now we have these ribbons. Applying water. Taking watercolors. On the upper part it's darker because the nose and bows are casting shadow. And then on the lower part it's slightly lighter. Washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel. And smoothing applied layer. Always better to keep it lighter. You can always make it darker, and I want to lift slightly here because I'm painting quite light. I'm not worried about. I will be pushing with darkness and keeping lights light. Applying water here. And again, darker part is closer to the upper part. And pushing watercolors to the lower part. Now we are in the ugly stage. We have quite pale result, which is completely okay. We don't have very much of precision, which is also okay. We will continue with that. And yeah, but we have overall composition done, which I love. I will also add green, evergreen here. Having like brown and red and green, perfect. For the evergreen, I'm taking sap green. I need really small amount, don't mix huge. Perlin green. A little bit more of sap green, a little bit more of perlin green, and a little touch from the red. I want to have a little bit this green made earthy green. And for the evergreen, I will apply first stem, and then evergreen has these needles. First you can go lightly, applying like few, and later you can go and add variety of darker ones, thicker ones. I want to let it a darker red-green mix for this like branch of that. Yes. A little bit more thickness. Because it's not so it looks with big holes. That's not how it looks. It looks much fuller. Like this, yes. And when it dries, I will add a little bit more contrast with darker ones. Maybe they could be bigger. We'll see. We need to work a little bit more on. Now everything looks light. And I want to work a little bit more on antlers. Building contrast here and there. Now this is a very enjoyable part where everything is painted. You already are in the process. You can add now details. You can work on precision, contrast, and enjoy every moment. You don't need to rush. You are not late with this. It's November. Even if it's beginning of December, even if it's middle of December, you're not late. Here and there adding contrast. To the nose. Adding shadows. Making this light area slightly smaller, so it's not as big as it is now. Little brush strokes, no need to rush. Build your layers slowly, accurately. Your nose is becoming more rounder. Now let's move to them. So a frequent question. So I know how to paint first layer, but what to do next? Next, I'm going for the shadows. So here, this inner part that is here a little visible of the bow has shadow. So this is where I will add shadow. This is what I know for sure now. Now on the opposite side, same. I know that this little inner part that is visible has also shadow, so I'm adding that. Now this inner part also has shadow, so I'm going and adding it there. I always start with the areas I know how to do them, and from there it starts to build up. Now these little additions, and we already see
the difference. Now here the shadow goes till the very nose, and it's darker than nose. So I need to have this contrast. And this shadow is not everywhere. There's upper part slightly lighter because it's coming to light. Now this one here is also in the shadow. And don't push your darkness too fast, too intense. Gradually. You can adjust as you go. You can always make it darker. Painting on a dry surface with transparent layers. And our bow is slowly becoming more three-dimensional because we're adding shadows. With little brush strokes, because of the size, it's small. There's fold in the bow, leaving little edge lighter, and the shiny area. Washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel, and smoothing the edge so I don't have crisp edges there. Like this. Leaving this edge white. Painting with the very tip of the brush for precision, accuracy. Like this, and this white area gives our bow a shiny appearance. This whole area behind the nose is way darker, so I need to push my darkness. A little bit more. Slowly building our colors. Now let's paint ribbon part. It also needs to be way darker than red nose because it's behind. My brush strokes are longer and following the positioning of the ribbon and closer to to the nose, it's way darker. Because it's behind, nose is on top. And leaving lower part lighter. Like this. Now let's go with this one. It also needs to go darker, right behind the nose. Careful with outer edges, trying to stay inside my outlines, and lighter to the lower part. Have a little bit more smoother and color. Need to push my darkness a little bit further. Again, this can at any time be done. I think I slightly went over the edge, so I'll still what I can slightly correct it. Now we have this one. So we need to push way more darkness here, closer to the lower part, as upper part is more exposed to light. Then this little fold, not fold, the inner part needs to go darker. I think this one also needs to go darker and more precise. Yes. And now here it's darker right behind the nose. As we are building darkness behind the nose, nose is also coming closer to us where it should be. Now adding more watercolors. Washing my brush, cleaning in paper towel, and smoothing. And now this is your turn that you can paint now, adding more details to antlers, more details to the bow. It's up to you. I showed you the way. We started our amazing challenge. The approach is the same. Now I'm just adding watercolors in the darker parts, pushing a little bit more my contrast. The more I will be pushing contrast, the more realistic it's going to look. I'm going to have a little bit more contrast here behind the nose. The more contrast I will be putting behind the nose, the more it will stand out. This part in the back is way darker. Also here. Careful with outer edges. And we have our first card in the finishing stage, which I love how it turns out. Quite tricky with the smaller size. I wasn't expecting that, so this is a new discovery. But it's always interesting to try something new, something different than from usual. For example, if I would do these greeting cards digital and multiply to, for example, send to many, I would paint this subject bigger and then scan and then make it smaller, because it's easier. I want to make these evergreens slightly bigger. They kind of look too small for this size. Yeah, look better. Now look better. I'm already happy with the result. We can always do something extra. I'm adding pearl and maroon to my brown mix. And I'm taking a pale amount of watercolors. I want to, in some places, glaze a little bit of red. Just in some places, to add a little bit of smoothness. Like more color. Like this. I think then this brown looks richer. And here we go. Our day one greeting card. So you have enough space to write something in, or you can even write color notes that we were using here. It's like your little study card, or you can, of course, give it to someone as a present.